I don't really know how to talk about this game, but I also really want to talk about this game. Genesis Noir, which I played on stream right here. And, God, how do I explain this? So, mechanically, this is a point and click light puzzle game. Um, it doesn't really have a core mechanic. Like most adventure games, sort of as you go, each puzzle, sort of like most adventure games, sort of as you go, each puzzle is fairly bespoke. And while some might build on earlier ones, it isn't straightforwardly just a core mechanic that you do over and over again. And the entire game, puzzles included, is very vibes. That there isn't really a tutorial. There's almost no actual spoken dialogue between characters. There is some text to read now and then, but it's not really the narrative, or sometimes it is. Okay, all right. So this is a game that is primarily a narrative-driven experience where the narrative is also really hard to explain. So this is a game in which you are a guy who both repairs and sells watches, possibly a little bit as a side hustle illegally, because you kind of start the game, with the classic open up the coat, got all these watches, selling them on the street. But we also kind of see the character with a shop and like doing a repair job on a watch at another time. But this character, who also drinks too much, that gets established, is trying to save the life of a jazz singer from being killed, being shot by a jealous saxophonist. And so it's a game about that because the moment in time of him shooting her has frozen and you are trying to undo it. It is also a game about the beginning of the universe and the end of the universe and black holes and the development of humanity and a time traveler connecting with the new life of the same person across various points in time. And it is all done with almost no dialogue in a very limited, not really abstract, but stripped down, incredibly stylized art sense that doesn't really care if you make heads or tails of what it's doing. And I really liked it. So I'm going to make a couple of comparisons that aren't quite right, but are like the best I can do. Imagine if the last half hour of 2001 A Space Odyssey was sort of disassembled and recombobulated by an art house French animation studio with a jazz soundtrack. I think the one game that I'll compare it to, and this is only in terms of the overall experience, not really mechanically and definitely not in terms of the art style, but I found myself thinking about The Artful Escape, which was another very heavily narrative game that I really, really liked. Again, mechanically bears almost no resemblance to it whatsoever, and the art style is completely different. But where they are similar is these are linear narrative experiences that could have been films, animated films in both cases, I would recommend. But this one would have to be like the visual presentation, like you could not do this any other way. It would be a travesty to try. But either could have been told in a more straightforward linear medium like film. But there is something added to it by virtue of the interaction, even though challenge is not really a massive part of these games and the narrative never changes, so it's not a branching path thing. Yet, despite that, having control and moving through these environments and solving these middlingly difficult puzzles yourself. Like, really, the only difficulty is you aren't given a lot of guidance on what to do, and you have to kind of feel it out. But like what you actually are accomplishing is very straightforward. But that little bit of interaction does, or at least for me, did draw me in and make me more invested in what was going on, what I was seeing, what I was experiencing, what I was hearing, because the soundtrack is gorgeous. I have an odd relationship with jazz. I do like jazz, but I like mellow jazz. I don't know if there's a specific name for like a subgenre that I like, but like think the saxophone work in Blade Runner. That kind of jazz, which means I've never really gotten into it as an overall genre, because you try and pick up a jazz album, maybe you'll get a couple tracks like that, but you'll get a lot of other tracks that are the very high energy, more experimental, more improvisational stuff that I don't dislike, but isn't what I really like. Like, I think of it as movie jazz. I like movie jazz, which I'm sure any jazz aficionado would hear me say that and say, oh, you like the watered down mainstream nonsense. Yes, I do. Sue me. But I really, really love the soundtrack. It was very enhancing. And there is, again, this experimental art house animation energy to the visual presentation that, again, really suits the strength and the vibe and the energy of this as it meanders from time period to time period and drops little bits of information about the start of the universe and how everything developed and how the universe is going to end, and equating stopping the Big Bang with stopping this bullet from killing this jazz singer. And it's all loosely connected. It's a lot of allegorical stuff. I don't know if anyone could actually map it out in a way that makes logistical sense, but I also don't care. This is a game where if you don't feel it within the first 10 minutes, you're probably not going to like it. But if you find yourself even intrigued by the first 10 minutes, I think you're going to get a lot out of this. It is just such a unique game, and not too long either. It runs about 4 hours altogether. And it just gives a very unique experience that I really enjoyed, which again is another way that I'll kind of relate it to The Artful Escape. Is it a particularly challenging game? Is it, all these, your choices shape the narrative, the kinds of things video game lovers tend to praise? Is it any of those things? No. But it's pretty unique. And unique in a way that, at least for me, I really, really enjoyed. It's the kind of thing I could see myself at some indeterminate point in the future when I don't always have a ton of work I should be doing. But it's the kind of thing I could see myself having an afternoon where I don't have anything on and just going, I want to play through that again. I could see myself just doing that with this game. And I could see myself doing it with The Artful Escape. And again, I think that's part of why it connects in my head. You could play through this in the afternoon. Or you know what? Journey. That's another game that's like, I could just sit down and play through this in an afternoon and just feel nice. And I'm not, like, I would still connect it more to The Artful Escape than I would Journey, though Journey's not a terrible comparison, all said and done. Though Journey is more platform-based than puzzly. In any case, Genesis Noir, I really enjoyed this. This was real nice. Have you played it? What did you think about it? Or have you played anything that sounds anything like what I'm describing? Whatever your thoughts might be, drop something down in the comments and let's talk about it. Patreon pays the bills. Enables me to do this as my living. Even if you can't help me out that way, like, share, subscribe. Those all help me out. Don't worry too much about it, though. We take a relaxed attitude around here, so you can come on back next time you need a break. And now to thank my highest supporting patrons: Robin Moore, Goddess Elida, Zubin Lopfula, Welsh Wrestling Geeks, Oliver B., Melissa Pedersen, Movie Turtle, Melinda Walters, Auntie Kate 808, Andre, Becky Sparks, Claire Wright, Tracy Scrabbit, Angry Casperl, Dave Hall, Quite Bearish, Rosalind Bennett, Toku Blahuvian, Adam RDL Taylor, Pal Barabajoggle, Mary Mello, Mira G, Sir Didymus is my favorite. I've never screwed that one up before. Well, if you want to hear me mess up your name, check out the rewards on the Patreon. I'm going to blame you.